everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 707, NFL Week 2 preview. Hello, Big Chillians, and welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined with Eddie. Eddie, how's it going?
Yeah, things are going pretty well on my end. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Counting down the last days of roller hockey in Tucson. We're going to do a little pickup game today while we watch the U of A football team plays this afternoon against Kansas State, their first big test in the Big 12. Although it's not a Big 12 game, which is weird. So they're both in the Big 12, but I think it was a scheduled game before they joined the Big 12. So it doesn't count towards the Big 12 standings, which could be huge because at the end of the day, I think whoever wins the Big 12 automatically goes into the playoffs. So that could be a huge factor.
Yeah, I mean, they're not making college football complicated enough with things like that. People always say, hey, I want to turn on a game and I want to have no idea how this impacts standings. Just surprise me. I mean, speaking of that, obviously there was the game last night where the coaches agreed, did you see that, to play a shortened fourth quarter because it was such a blowout?
Oh, that's happened. That's like a few times it's happened already this year. It also happened, I want to say, like maybe that Arkansas game. Was it Arkansas where they scored like 12 straight touchdowns or something like that?
Yeah, because, this is Northwestern State against South Alabama. South Alabama won 87-10. And going into the fourth quarter, the two coaches agreed to have it just be a 6-minute fourth quarter. At that point, like, why are you even playing the fourth quarter? I mean, if you've fundamentally agreed, let's just end this thing.
Just end it.
Just end it. Like, why drag it out even further?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. You could say the same thing about the Thursday night football game because when you tease the over to 42.5 and it's 31-10. Just barely into the third quarter, you think you're fine. And then next thing you know, one concussion later, and you don't get an over of two more points in 20 minutes, 22 minutes or whatever it was.
That's a killer too, because obviously the Dolphins turned down, 2 field goals basically. And I understand why you are, especially when even the one right after when Tua went out, there was enough time left where if they'd scored a touchdown there, you're only down by 14. It's maybe doable.
I think the one at the end is worse because I think at the end of the game, you're not going to win no matter what. And at least you can say like, hey, we had a good drive to finish this game that ended in points. And yes, I'm partly saying it because that would have hit my over. But
had you taken the under, he would have been like, you never take the points.
You never take them. No, but honestly, I genuinely think because now he's obviously going to be the quarterback next week. So at least you could have went into your next week's prep being like, hey, at least that last drive came to something. Let's do more of that.
I guess they'd say that anyway, right? Because he's not going to be so confused by the situation. But
no, because you're going to say you missed that throw, you fucking loser.
I do think you could say, hey, where can we get in-game sort of real practice experience? And at that point, I'd rather say, you know what, get the special teams out there and let's run a field goal. So we just run through a sequence. It's another, get all of that really down because that's the only benefit we can really get out of this particular situation. But yeah, we may as well start there. Obviously, a complete blowout pretty much from start to finish, although it was 7-7 at one point. But the Dolphins, Tua threw 3 interceptions in the first half or 2 in the first half and then the pick 6.
3 total.
Yeah, so 2 in the first half and then the pick 6 to kind of start the second half when they got the ball back. He looked pretty awful. And then obviously it ended in, terrible circumstances with him getting yet another concussion.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of players calling for the NFL now to put rules in place that restrict a player's ability to play post-concussion. Lots of players coming out speaking about the idea that he should just retire for the sake of his long-term health. It's unpleasant viewing. We spoke about it 2 years ago. I don't really want to watch him play football anymore because you just know the damage he's doing to himself.
Yeah, it's tough. At what point like, do you have control over what you want to do versus at what point must like the NFL step in on your behalf? And I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. I mean, I guess some people might say like he could be the type of person who says like, I don't want to live to 75, 80 years old. Like I
I don't
want
want to
to.
remember anything beyond the age of 28.
But I mean, honestly, like
No, I mean,
it,
yeah, you're
you know what I
right.
mean? Like, is that kind of his choice at the end of the day? I don't. Yeah, it is, but at the same time, like I think the NFL has a slight responsibility to not put people in harm's way where he could literally die on the field from too many concussions.
I think it's a tough spot for the NFL because obviously it puts them, they're denying someone the, the ability to earn huge sums of money and pursue something that they presumably love to do. And then also from a liability standpoint, I can understand from the NFL, if you step in and you stop Tua and then another player you don't stop and then they suffer from
Yeah,
CTE, does that player say, well, wait, hold on a second, why didn't you stop me from playing, but you stopped Tua from playing? You had all the same evidence surrounding my situation. Admittedly, Tua seems to be one of the more graphic examples of sort of traumatic head injuries that we've seen in recent years. But the Miami Dolphins, I think, do have a responsibility. Like asking the NFL to really step in is tough. Maybe even
is
asking
this like a
Tua.
Christian Eriksen type of situation where like he can still play, but although they did not do this, but it's like you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
still play football, but you're not
just not
playing
for
for our
us.
club.
I think to a certain extent, you just have to like if the Miami Dolphins are ever going to try and convince us that they care about the people who play for them, they cannot do that and then also throw Tua back out there unless they do a Sidney Crosby style situation. And we don't see Tua for like 2 years now until they can claim he has done, his brain has recovered sufficiently and the risks of future concussions and long-term brain damage are mitigated as much as possible. But unless he does that kind of thing, it's negligent on the part of the Miami Dolphins for them to put him out there. And again, ultimately it is his call. There's lots of people who do far more dangerous things for far less money. So, if he really wants to run himself into the ground playing American football, let him do it, I guess. He's earning tons and tons of money and setting his family up for generations. But I don't know. It's tough to watch. Like, it's uncomfortable viewing.
Yeah. I mean, and you're a big proponent of, kind of doing those what if moments in sports, right? And you think about Damar Hamlin was the one who knocked him out, right? Talk about a
Yeah.
what if the NFL hadn't found a
Or,
clone of him to put in
yes, Damar Hamlin's
after
clone.
he died on the field. I
It
mean,
seems first the NFL had some weird conspiracy where they had to kill Damar Hamlin, and now they had a weird conspiracy where Damar Hamlin's clone had to kill Tua
no,
Tagovailoa.
Damar Hamlin's clone is going rogue. The
Oh
NFL has a
no!
real problem now. The clone has gone rogue.
It's a Jason Bourne situation. Oh
Yeah.
no!
It's Operation Treadstone all over again.
Oh god, they should have seen it coming. Oh no! And now we're going to get Tua's clone come back to the NFL to play quarterback for him to try and take Damar Hamlin's clone out.
Yeah, that's what's his face, the guy from the first one. What's his name? Who's the
No, it's Clive Owen.
Clive Owen? Yeah,
It's
Clive Owen.
Clive
Yeah,
Owen,
yeah.
and they
The guy,
don't.
he's from the first one.
Yeah, and they don't realize. Then they just got to admire each other's skill, and they kind of only
Yeah.
know little bits and pieces about each other. But yeah, I mean, we've made fun of it there, but it is very sad. I mean, it was awful.
Then we're gonna have
to
that
watch.
one weird NFL season where Jeremy Renner comes in out of nowhere on his on his snowmobile. That's where
Oh.
the NFL is gonna get real weird.
But real sliding door moments, right? For the Dolphins, this is disaster because you're close to being like, do you blow everything up? Like literally, I thought to myself last night watching the game, does this now mean, are you trading? They're not going to, but like, are you close to, we should just trade Tyreek Hill? Like the window has closed on this set of players now. So we may as well get whatever value, go full rebuild now. And you do think, they flirted with the idea of, replacing Tua with Deshaun Watson, with Tom Brady, but then he ultimately chose the
You
Tampa
took
Bay
my
instead.
thunder, Eddie. I was gonna say, you know who loves Miami? Tom Brady. Is there a better scenario for Tom Brady to come into a team than this?
I think it would be pretty tempting if you were him. I mean, he's made his little comments that he could still do it if he wanted to. He could go out there right now. He was
God,
pretty
Hill,
also.
Waddle, Achan, Mostert. Oh my God, what an offense!
Yeah, not the toughest division. You get to you're guaranteed a couple wins just in the division. He gets to go and play the Patriots and really hand it to them right when the Patriots are maybe starting to feel like the rebuild is starting to come together. And then you go, oh no, it's not. Here's a reminder of what things used to be like for 18 years when you were really good. But because I'll also say this about Tom Brady. He was not great in that first week of NFL commentary. Like there was I like Tom I think he's gonna have incredible insights, but I don't know if and like actual in-game commentary is the thing for Tom Brady because he was lacking a lot of the charisma and the chemistry that you might expect from a commentator, and compared with what we saw from say Tony Romo really early on, or what we get to see from the Manning brothers and the dynamic they have. So yeah, maybe the right thing for him to do is to go and play for the Dolphins.
Yeah, it was not good. And not only was it not good, he was getting pretty criticized by people, which is always a bad thing. Like, especially the Scott Hansen thing when he was like, come on, Tom, blah, blah, blah. You know, like, you're not excited about this? And then Scott Hansen went out and apologized, like, on Twitter about it. Like, come on.
Well, he's the face of the franchise now for Fox, so of course that's going to get an apology. But yeah, I guess the issue for Tom Brady anyway, right? He's filed papers to become a part owner of the Raiders anyway. So then does that close the door on him playing for the Dolphins? His life is already complicated enough. There was still all that talk about how this is limiting the type of interaction he can have with teams pre-games compared to other commentators, because normally they go and sit in on training, on practice, and get all these sorts of details. They get access to the playbook and stuff like that. And the NFL was very, very concerned that he would then be sending that information to the Las Vegas Raiders, given him that he's about to become a part owner. So imagine if he's commentating on some games, playing quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, and part owner for the Las Vegas Raiders. That's when we've really reached Hollywood.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
But big takeaways other than Tua?
Yeah, actually, I have a few more things on that game. And I know we're talking a lot about one random Thursday night game, but I think the spotlight here is important because one, Josh Allen now officially owns the Dolphins. He's 12-2 against the Dolphins. It's ridiculous. And he definitely outplayed Tua, pre-injury. He was definitely outplaying Tua. The bigger question, though, I had that I'm been starting to think about, and maybe it's just because he looks so douchey on the sidelines and he definitely doesn't hide the potential drug issues he's got going because his eyes were so glazed that there was definitely something going on there. Is Mike McDaniels a good coach?
Okay, so the drug issue is right. He's like a recovering alcoholic. So I gotta say he probably isn't, and I think also had a past usage of drugs as well. I think I know people are speculating about that in part due to his glow up and his new style. I don't think he's using drugs, and the thoughts shared are firmly the thoughts of Frank and not the thoughts of the Big Chill podcast, in case there is any future litigation. But I think there's two ways to go on this, right? Which is probably there was a little, well, no matter what, there's probably a little bit to McDaniel's praise. He was the poster boy of the future of coaching for a second there. And I can understand why. He seems very endearing and nice. I can see why the media loves him, because I bet he's way more interesting to sit down and talk to than 99% of NFL coaches. So, and he had to work his way up, right? I think it's kind of nice to see a story where it's literally like started at the bottom, isn't related to a former coach, isn't a former player, has no real attachment to the league in any serious way, and just managed to go from Denver Broncos ball boy to Miami Dolphins head coach. But probably a little overrated, probably a little bit of the idea that like the boy genius could deliver a Super Bowl regardless of anything else in place. Probably underappreciated, I think, when we see either Robert Saleh struggling a little bit with the Jets or what we're seeing happen with McDaniels in Miami. Maybe Shanahan a little bit underrated here. Like, consistently there's a lot of like, hey, he's got a great coaching staff. And yeah, the run calling, like all of that scheme, it's genius, but it's McDaniels behind all of that. Well, it looked like the run calling and the scheme was pretty good on Monday night with no McDaniels in the building up against the much discussed Robert Saleh Jets defense. But
do you think the dorkiness plays into it a little bit? Like, do you think his persona makes people think he's better than he is?
I think it makes people think he's more of a futuristic coach than he maybe is. Like, there's more of he must be really into analytics and stuff. And I'm not saying he isn't, but I do think there's an idea there that because of how he looks and how he carries himself, that he's got to be ahead of the 8 ball here somehow, because he can't just be coaching the X's and O's here. There's got to be something a little bit more in the magic sauce. But the other thing is, maybe, like, how good was McDaniels making Tua look? Like, maybe the last couple of years he really did help Tua to look a lot better than he is. And maybe Tua is a below average NFL starting quarterback fundamentally. And the system and the talent around Tua, particularly with Tyreek Hill, has allowed him to look a lot better. Because it's true, when Tua looks bad, Tua looks catastrophically bad. Like, he was throwing, like, the pick six he throws. Yes, they didn't give him enough of a hard time in the coverage of that game, where they're like, well, he's just the left-hand side of his line collapses and he's trying to escape pressure and he's trying to just get the ball away. It's like, well, yeah, he did just loft the ball up, though, aimlessly in the direction of where the defensive player is, who then just gets to walk in for a game-ending touchdown, basically, at that point. Like,
it was really bad, but I think you can toss it away, which I think is what they did on the broadcast, as he was just trying to throw it away and kind of just like threw it poorly. Like, it didn't come out of his hand right or whatever. He was clearly trying to throw it away and just like had an oopsie moment. Like, it wasn't as if he was reading a defense. It wasn't as if he was reading a defense and was like, oh yeah, guy's open, and then just throws it right into like a guy's chest with no one else. That was the second interception.
Because you have 3 interceptions and you can defend. Like, the first one is not at all his fault. That's just pure bad luck. The second one is a terrible throw and a terrible read. And then the third one is, yes, he's trying to you can kind of defend it. I understand, because taking the sack would have been, but you know what? Even the sack wouldn't have been that bad. They were going to be punting. It was third down. They were going to be punting from deep in their own territory anyway. Was the 7 yards difference on the punt going to change the dynamics of the game?
Yeah.
But you know what?
No, not great thinking.
To change the dynamics of the game, the pick six. And probably a mild concussion that he also may have suffered getting hit on that play, which then may have contributed to the severity of the concussion that he later suffered. Yeah. But
don't forget, too, the play before his concussion, he overthrew that guy in the end zone for a touchdown.
Yeah. And going back to just general decision-making, on the play where he gets the concussion, there is no need for him to be trying to gain. He's comfortably got the first down. It's going to be 1st and goal or whatever it was. And it didn't matter whether that was from the 7-yard line or the 9-yard line. Like, nothing was going to change. So
he wasn't having a good game.
No, that's an understatement. No. It's because it was a weird feel, because the Bills were good from start to finish and the better team from start to finish. But then still at 7-all, and when the Dolphins got the ball back before the second interception and stuff, you kind of felt like, oh, this feels like the Bills had the better of the first quarter and a bit, and now the Dolphins are going to kick into gear. We've seen this from the Bills lots of times, where especially against good teams, it feels like they're about to really pull ahead, and all of a sudden they're losing by 10 points. And I kind of felt like last night watching that game before the second interception, that's what we were about to see. And then instead it was game over within a quarter.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, getting back to McDaniels, it's really tough, because this is one of those circumstances where you don't know how much is coaching and how much is what's around him. Like I think of it as, what if you had Brian Daboll on the Dolphins and McDaniels coaching the Giants? Like, are the Giants better?
Um,
Like how
Probably.
much of it you don't know. Like, yeah, but maybe, but it's tough with the circumstances. Like you have the best wide receiver in the NFL. You have probably the best second wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, by that you mean the best second
Number two.
option. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have probably the best 1-2 running back combo in the NFL. Like I mean, Mostert didn't play that game, but you pretty much have 2 Pro Bowl caliber running backs on the field at all times, whether you start 1-2 with Mostert and then Achane.
49ers might have something to say about that right now, but
maybe.
Yeah, look, I guess if I were
Tua is a Heisman Trophy winner. Like he's not a bad QB.
Well, I think the jury. This surprises me because I think I've been the Tua defender on this podcast, and you have been the Tua critic. And I think I'm switching. And I'm not just because of last night. It's obviously a reaction. Even the week 1, right? He was lucky to escape with a win. Like this should be an 0-2 Dolphins team fundamentally, and that would be almost it's season over probably because of the Tua injury, unless they're able to bring a quarterback in. Like things. Here's all I'll say is, I don't want to say it's season over for the Dolphins because I think there's a possibility they could bring in a better quarterback than Tua. Like I think if Jameis Winston is the Dolphins quarterback, that they are just as good of a team as they were going.
That's crazy. That's an insult to Tua.
I think that might be an insult to Jameis Winston. But
how many times do you have to see Jameis Winston play before we realize he is where he's supposed to be, a backup?
I don't know. How many times do we have to see Tua play before we realize he shouldn't
be where
he is?
Great season last year.
It was a good season, but it's helped by having Tyreek Hill and a great running game. I mean,
I just think when I'm going back to McDaniels, he could have a lot worse quarterbacks than Tua.
He could have a lot worse of everything, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he has a pretty above average, and I would say top 5 probably offense, even with Tua in the NFL.
I guess
they were getting blown out of that game before Tua got injured.
I guess what I would say is when you watch that game, there wasn't a lot of creativity and there wasn't a change of game plan. Things were clearly not working. Like they couldn't really run the ball very well. And also Tua was struggling with his reads. And you thought they had the one jet sweep with Tyreek Hill, which I think was on the drive when Tua got concussed, maybe, or perhaps on a drive before that. But realistically, there wasn't a ton of creativity within that play calling. And that to me is where I'd be critical. He has an offense that seems to be built to be pretty creative with. Like, again, but compare it to Shanahan and the strongest argument, the best case you can make for Shanahan being a great coach from an offensive perspective, I think, is that he finds ways to get his game-changing players the ball in their hands. Whether that means handing
or at least try.
Yeah.
Ayuk just drops it, but
but whether that means handing the ball off, whether that means putting 19 men in motion to try and create some kind of mismatch somewhere, he does it. And I expected the same from McDaniels. Is that Tyreek Hill is going to be like Deebo Samuel level of touches if they need him to, and instead he's kind of just like the deep threat there. And if you do what the Bills did to Tyreek Hill last night, which is just stick him in double, triple coverage and dare you to throw at him, you can kind of take him out of the game. And then it didn't feel as if the Dolphins were in a position to change adjustments, to change their game plan to take advantage of what the Bills were giving to them.
No, I mean, so far my read on McDaniels, which I think is becoming stronger as we see the years go by, is they can blow out shitty teams, but they are not good against competitive teams.
Yeah, which is sometimes what we say about the Bills too, though. So I really don't know what to say.
No, I don't think so, because I think the Bills in general, they've made some deep playoff runs, and they've beaten some good teams on the road in the playoffs. I think they just can't get past the Chiefs.
Yeah, no, you're probably not wrong, but no, yeah, I think it's Jury is still. It's so early in his head coaching career, that it's tough to be
Yeah.
overreacting to a small sample size of games, especially a small sample size of games that really matter or against teams that are very good. But yeah, I'm leaning more towards the idea. If you made me bet right now, does he go on to have a great head coaching career? I
Does he
would
win a
lean.
Super Bowl?
I mean, that's an obvious, that's an easy no, though, right? Because most head coaches won't, even if they're good. But do I think when he retires, do I think he will just have? I think there's a very good chance that he ends up going back to being a coordinator as a next step over being a head coach somewhere else. I'll put it that way. Same way I feel about Robert Saleh. I think Robert Saleh is going to end up being a defensive coordinator again somewhere and probably get a head coaching opportunity in the future. But it's not like those head coaches, like McVay's never going to be an offensive
Yeah.
coordinator.
Yeah.
Right. Before we get on to our week 3 previews and picks, maybe we do a quick little roundup of other sports. So we kind of break it up slightly. Obviously, still international break. Worth saying, I suppose, Harry Kane marked his 100th England appearance with 2 goals in a win over Finland. It looks like it is now Lee Carsley's job to lose as full-time England manager, which it's sort of an uninspiring appointment, but I also don't know who else is really out there for the job.
Well, I mean, he seems to be a little more offensive minded, you could say. They seem
They
to
definitely
be definitely more offensively pressing and pushing and kind of setting the pace a little more.
They definitely play at a higher pace. I think that was a noticeable difference compared to the Southgate era. And you could look at the inclusion of players like Gomez and stuff and say that he's trying to do something different in some key positions there.
Grealish back.
Grealish, yeah, back in the fold. There's so much talent at his disposal that he should be able to do a good job. It's going to be an interesting, of all the criticism we gave Southgate at times during his tenure. The one thing about Southgate, right, he was great at just beating bad teams. That was his bread and butter. Was Finland 5-0, thank you very much.
He's the McDaniels of international football.
Maybe, but so Lee Carsley has to, we spoke about it. We just take it for granted now that England qualify with ease, and so let's see how Carsley handles that when that really gets going. But yeah, he looks as if England might be a bit more sort of attacking in their approach, but we'll see how that actually plays out in challenging matches. Elsewhere, no, I guess not a huge
you said it's international break, but it's back Saturday, right?
It's back,
Premier League's back Saturday, right?
Yeah. And tonight, as we're recording Friday, the Bundesliga was back. Dortmund won tonight. Tomorrow, yeah, things. So, interesting slate of games over the weekend. You got Arsenal Spurs on Sunday. The most of the big sides playing relatively easy matches tomorrow. So see, if there's any major shakeup. But nothing too big to discuss. But I know at times we've loved to discuss data, heart rates, preparation, training, and I was watching the
Nothing makes me more excited than combining analytics and training.
Well, I was watching the cycling the other day, and they were talking about Matthew van der Poel, who's a professional cyclist who was training by going for a run. And he posted, I think it was on Strava, but it might just be him sharing to social media, his run data he went on a 10-kilometer run. And he did that in 46 minutes. So it's 10.09 kilometers. He did it in 46.06. So a pace of 4 minutes, 34 a kilometer, which is pretty quick, especially for a if running isn't really her focus, that's fairly fast. But I think the more remarkable thing is for someone who was running a 4:34 kilometer, his heart rate never got higher than 114 beats per minute. which
That's pretty
is
good.
remarkably low for that level of physical exertion.
Well, what's his resting though? That's the question.
I don't know. Probably in the 40s, I'm going to
It's
guess.
the delta that's the big thing.
So he's probably nearly tripled his heart rate, but
Yeah.
so for some people that would be death. But it's a remarkably low heart rate, like maximum heart rate for a pretty intensive training exercise.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I wish so much that they had heart rates on all the players at all times in all sports. I would prefer, instead of you showing me how many timeouts a team has left, you show me what Patrick Mahomes' current heart rate is at all times.
Well, they did that data. Who released? Oh,
Whoop does it.
Whoop does it with like Cristiano Ronaldo when he was taking a penalty during the Euros. They showed how his heart
goes
rate
down,
dipped.
Yeah, and they do it with Mahomes too. So the highest Mahomes' heart rate got during that playoff game was the coin toss in overtime, because he was like so excited that they won the coin toss. That was when they played the Bills, and before the change in the coin toss rules. So that, yeah, and I love it. Like, it's so cool when Whoop releases that, and you can see like, and they'll pinpoint each play and like what his heart rate was. And that was the game he had like that crazy scramble and threw it, and they show like what his heart rate was. It's like, I wish you could see that live. That'd be awesome. They need to add these dimensions.
They do sometimes do it live
for cycling
in some cycling races.
I've seen it live in cycling.
So here's some cycling data from Mathieu van der Poel from when he won the Tour of Flanders. So that was a 6.5 hour ride. He did 280 kilometers, average speed of 42.5 kilometers an hour, max speed of 84.9 kilometers an hour on a bicycle, obviously. And there he was. So that for the cycling nerds out there, his peak power was 1,406 watts, which is, but he had an average heart rate. That's interesting. He had an average heart rate of 141 beats per minute and a max of 189.
Wow, that's impressive though. So his highest, I bet his max heart rate's probably, like 190, 195. I'm sure he was hitting a max there.
Yeah.
So he's able to stay at 50 below his max for most of the race. That's insane.
Yeah. And he burned.
So, and just to keep it in perspective, you said he's at 89 kilometers per hour.
84.
84. So for our American listeners, that's about 50 miles an hour. A little lower.
Yeah. On a bike.
Bike.
Pretty quick. And burned nearly 7,000 calories.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Seeing how high people's heart rate is a cool thing too, because most of that's actually just genetic. So like some people just have really high max heart rates and some people just don't. So that's interesting. Like mine is really high. My max heart rate I've ever recorded on my Whoop is like, I think it's like 201, which is crazy.
Yeah. It's pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's, I think I do agree with you. I think data like that, sometimes we get just thrown, like, for example, going back to the Thursday night football game, the AI tools that were being used to try and identify potential rushers. I mean, oh, you mean the guy like edging forward on the end on the end of the line?
Yeah, that's stupid. Like, and they were doing with the stupid like half a highlight, so like you almost couldn't see it, but you kind of could see it. That was so dumb. Like the speeds are cool. Like it's cool to see how fast someone's going on a play, but they don't ever do that in game. It's always like after the game, they're like, "Oh, Tyreek Hill went 22 miles an hour on this play." Like, why can't you give me that in real time? Like, you know what? Yeah. Let's do one better. Do what the NHL used to do with the hockey puck when it had the flame on it. Give me Tyreek Hill with a little flame behind him as he's running by.
If he hits a certain speed. Like, once they go over 20 miles per hour,
in fuego,
they're on fire, like NBA Jam.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you, because ultimately all that AI stuff, I would still rather have. This is the problem, is compared to that experience of like trying to predict who the potential like pass rushers, blitzers are. I'd still rather have like Tony Romo just drawing circles and being like, looks like they're in cover 2. Going to be great to run to the right against this coverage. That's way more insightful than I'll look. We've circled 3 players who statistically are likely, especially when some of it is going to be. I'm going to look at it and be like, "You're telling me Nick Bosa is likely to rush the passer? Thanks, AI. Like, glad you really built that system out just to be able to tell me that."
Well, like the other one is like when a QB throws it into an extremely tight window, and they're like, according to Amazon's AI, he had a 0.7% chance of completing that pass based on how close the defenders were. But it's like, of course, like I could have told you that was a really good pass. Like that doesn't help me appreciate the play more. Like I can see that it was a good throw. I don't need you to tell me 1% of people. And on top of that, what does that really mean? Like, how are you telling me this based off of what? Well,
that's we're getting into the whole XG debate, right? It's most of the time I don't know how to really fully interpret what the XG means. It's sort of difficult. It's so theoretical that it's impossible to really apply to real life examples, I think. And yeah, it's just data for the sake of data at a certain point. But maybe they'll find really cool ways to apply some of that data, but just trying to shove it all in because someone's realized like, hey, we got this pretty cool algorithm, and if we plug that in, it will show us some more information. So, well, I'd still rather just have Tom Brady tell me, hey, a screen pass would be great right now. Like that's what I want to hear.
Yeah. And I know the NFL probably doesn't want this, but you could do like on a big hit, like the force generated on that hit.
They won't do that.
I don't think they want that, but
just have the little bird spinning around to his head after he just got KO'd.
All right, Eddie, too much. But do they do it in European football? Like, it'd be cool to see like ball speed or things like that.
Live,
like on certain kicks and stuff.
Live, no. You see it.
That'd be cool.
They do show like end of season reviews where they'll show you the fastest goals in terms of ball speed things. Cricket and baseball are put in a
cricket
easier
so
position.
Ahead of its time.
They are in a lot of ways.
There's so much that's so ahead of its time in cricket. Like even like the oh fuck. No, I'm getting thrown on the spot. I can never remember the name of the stupid not Hawkeye, but the sound one. The sound version of Hawkeye.
Yeah. This Snicko or whatever, whichever you get how it gets referred to by different TV stations. But
like stuff like that is so cool.
Yeah, it's surprising.
They embrace it.
The thing that's interesting about the Snickometer is it's fundamentally very basic technology, but somehow I don't know why baseball, which does these endless reviews of did it brush the guy's, they'll go for those reviews like did it brush the guy's glove? Well, why aren't you? We've been using Snickometer in cricket for like 30 years. It was the first bit of technology that kind of came in of, hey, you can put a microphone right there and then just try and pick up on whether or not there's a sound.
I was going to say, for our American listeners who don't know what the hell we're talking about, it's basically like using a microphone with like really fine tune, being able to hear the sounds to see if, as a ball passes, if it hits the bat, like very, very minutely, or a glove or anything. If it's anything, you can see changes in the sound.
You're aligning the video to the sound waves, and you've got a microphone isolated on sound from just that specific area. So it's then just allowing you to see, like, is there a spike in sound as you watch the video progress, which could tell you, oh, that was as it hit the bat, or as it hit his glove, or as it hit his shoulder. And it does make it a lot easier, because visually that can be pretty hard to tell, even if you have high frame rate in the video. But yeah, that's been.
But even cricket does the cool stuff where like they can predict if the ball is going to hit the stump or not. Like based off of the spin and the angle. Like it's so cool.
Yeah, and obviously constant speed, but that you get that in most, and telling you how far the ball's gone. But again, you get that in baseball with home runs. But yeah, I mean it's impressive. All right. On that note, should we move on to our NFL week 3?
2.
Kind of. I was like, how far in week 17 preview? You'll be happy to know we're using the official, unofficial sponsor of the Big Chill podcast, Bet365, for all of the lines this week, just to make everything clear. Obviously, we missed the Thursday night game. I will be honest, I would have taken the Dolphins. So
I would have taken the Bills.
Of course.
No, I took them. I can show you I took them.
I can show you I took the Dolphins. So
there you go.
so we can happily put that down as a win for you and a win for me. I did put my money where my mouth was last night, very unfortunately, as they turned out to be the only winner in the little treble three-way parlay I put on. But such is life. All right, Sunday. Things get underway in the afternoon for us with the Browns at the Jags, and the Jags are 3-point favorites.
Oh, this is tough. I am not, I don't fully believe in the Jags. But then again, I don't have any faith in Deshaun Watson. He was awful in that first game. I'm going to go with the Jags here. Oh, I don't know. I was going to say they played well against the Dolphins and blew a fourth quarter lead, right? But then we just watched the Dolphins get imploded by the Bills. So how good are actually the Dolphins? Really tough. I'll stick with what I'm like changing in real time. But I'm going to go with the Jags at home to win against the Browns, who until I see Deshaun Watson play like he did in 2017, I'm going to have to stick with the opposing team.
Yeah, this is a tough one, obviously, because you're coming off a catastrophic appearance for the Browns in week 1. And yeah, you're right. The Jags, they're one kind of flukish play away from having beaten the Dolphins, which would have felt like a good win. But then what we saw from the Dolphins last night, had the Dolphins won last night, I would be coming into this being like, well, this is a no-brainer pick. I'm taking the Jags. But then we saw how bad the Dolphins were last night, and it makes me second-guess myself a little bit. And on that basis, I'm just going to take a slight risk, and I'm going to say that Deshaun Watson cannot be as bad as he was against the Cowboys. The Jags are definitely not as good as the Cowboys, and so I will take Browns with the points, and I will take the Browns to win.
Eddie, I'm changing my answer. I'm going with you. I think the Browns defense did not play as well as they should have against the Cowboys, and I think they're going to come back with a little more of a vengeance, especially Myles Garrett. And the Jags don't have that great of an O-line, so I'm going to say the Browns are going to outperform them on defense and on a low-scoring game win this. Myles Garrett, at least 2 sacks.
All right. That's a fair prediction. Next up, what should have been, I suppose, one of the more exciting games of the weekend. We're kind of robbed of what looked like a pretty good matchup with the Love injury, and that is Colts at Packers, and the Colts are 2.5-point favorites. I think if you had a healthy Jordan Love playing for the Packers, this would probably be maybe the best game of the day, arguably. But yeah, instead, I'm just going to say the Packers had
What's the spread again?
Sorry, the Colts 2.5-point favorites in Green Bay.
That's it? 2.5?
Yeah, I know. This is a lot of respect for the rest of that Green Bay Packers team. This is a lot of respect for a defense that admittedly did look good last year, but looked pretty awful in the opening weekend against the Eagles. Okay, there's some mitigating circumstances there. It was in Brazil. The field was not great, but still, this is the Colts looked pretty good against the Texans. They definitely looked like they could score points pretty easily. And for that reason, I can't. What is this line telling? Like, how many points is Jordan Love worth? It's got to be at least 4 or 5, right? So they're saying what? The Packers would have been 3-point favorites, 4-point favorites under normal circumstances? That feels right.
What? Yeah, but I mean, the other thing, too, what's surprising about this line is it's not only is Jordan Love out, but you're replacing him with Malik Willis. You're not replacing him with like a good backup. Like, all right, I'm going to give you some props. It's not as if it were last year and it's Sam Darnold's coming in to replace Brock Purdy. Like, I don't think Sam Darnold's that great still, but that's a good backup. Like, he's a borderline starting QB, but a good backup. Malik Willis, no. No, I don't see this. I don't get it.
Yeah, no, it seems like a huge drop off at the quarterback position. And so, yeah, 2.5 points feels, I think I would be taking the Colts here at like 6.5 point favorites on at least a wait and see basis until we show that this Packers team can kind of rally around and completely change their approach with a massive downgrade at the quarterback position. So yeah, I'll take the Colts to win and the Colts to cover.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Anthony Richardson looked decent, and he's got that deep play capability. So I think they're going to score points. I think they'll score at least 21, and I don't know if the Packers can score 3 touchdowns with Malik Willis at QB. So
up next, we have the Chargers at the Panthers. The Chargers are 5-point favorites.
So here's a stat that's popped up. It's slightly misleading because it's 17 career starts, which is a little unfair because that's one season and a game, basically. But Bryce Young is the second worst quarterback since 2001 through 17 career starts. So he ranks 97th among 98 qualified quarterbacks with EPA and total QB EPA. He is not having a good start to his career. And on the other side, you have Justin Herbert, who, regardless of what people think, is having a good start to his career. So I suspect the Chargers to win this and to kind of blow them out here in Carolina. Although, the only caveat, it's an early East Coast game for a West Coast team. So could be an issue, but I don't think it will be.
Yeah, I mean, the Panthers look so bad. It's difficult to imagine picking them to win at any point this season. Like something dramatic would have to change, having allowed the Saints to score 47 points. I saw a stat on ESPN that if the Panthers allow 30 or more points against the Chargers, it will be the most points allowed through the first 2 weeks in their franchise history. I think that's you could bet your life on the Chargers scoring 30 points in this game almost. A bad matchup, not only just because of the fact that you look at, the Chargers are decent, I think. I wasn't overly impressed with their week 1 performance. They were maybe a little lucky to get that win against the Raiders. A couple of things had to go their way to turn that game around. But realistically, the Panthers gave up 180 rushing yards against New Orleans. The Chargers rushed for 176 yards, 135 from J.K. Dobbins. You got Harbaugh, who loves. I mean, we spoke about it right going into the season. This is Harbaugh loves to run the ball, and this is the dream matchup for him. Basically, a team that can't stop the run, that really can't stop anything. So yeah, I'll take the Chargers to win and the Chargers to cover.
So I'll just point this out. This is from last year. There are 4 Pacific time zone teams: the Niners, the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Seahawks. So since 2005, traveling to different time zones, this is against the spread. When they travel to the Mountain time zone, they have a 68.8 win percentage against the spread. When they travel to the Central, it's 47.5%. And when they travel to the Eastern time zone, it's 43%. So it gets progressively worse the further they travel from the West Coast against the spread. So just something to keep in mind. And then the other thing is when they come off a victory where they covered the spread in their most recent game, which the Chargers, I believe, covered the spread last week, traveling to the Eastern time zone, they are 29% win against the spread. So very concerning there. They will have to beat the trends dramatically to win and cover this game.
Yeah, I mean, without a little bit more context, it's tough to know how meaningful that particular set of statistics is. But yeah, it's still something to keep in mind. Up next, we have the Raiders at the Ravens, and the Ravens' heaviest favorite of the week. They are 8.5-point favorites. Kind of, in a sense, almost feeding off of some of the storylines from that Chargers-Panthers game, because again, this is a Ravens team that loves to run the ball up against the Raiders team that allowed the Chargers to rush for 176 yards last week. Feels like another great matchup. in terms of what one team would be hoping to get out of the other. And I'll take the Ravens to win and to cover here.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Ravens to win. You said it's 8.5?
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Ravens to win. I'm going to take the Raiders to cover. I think 8.5 is a little too much. A little misleading last game. The Raiders ended up losing 22-10, but it was actually 9-7 in the start of the fourth quarter. And then you had that 80-yard J.K. Dobbins run that kind of just broke that game open in the fourth. But it was a pretty close game. And I think maybe the Raiders could keep it close again. I don't see them winning this because I do agree. I think at the end of the day, the Ravens will just pound the ball down the Raiders' throats and just drive down the field. But because of that, I think they might keep it close with kind of running the clock down with all their runs. So.
And up next,
and another West Coast team traveling to the East Coast, just FYI.
Yeah, just not quite as far West Coast and not quite as far East in terms of distance traveled.
Distance.
Yeah. Up next, we have the Saints at the Cowboys. The Cowboys are 6-point favorites. It kind of feeds back into the discussion about the Browns. Like, how much can you read into a week one performance? Like, how much was that down to the Browns being terrible? How much was that down to the Cowboys potentially being very good? I think I'm going to lean towards, obviously, I've taken the Browns to win. Part of that is a vote of confidence against the Jags. You look confused.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Part of that's a vote of confidence for the Cowboys being good. And so I just think, they're going for their 17th home win in a row. They're definitely at home this week. Home win in a row, again, regular season win in a row. And I think they'll pull that off. I think they'll win. I think they'll cover. I think it's easy. I think if this game is played week 12, this is Dallas -9. But it's a slight overreaction. Like, we don't know how much to read into the Cowboys against the Browns, and maybe a slight overreaction to how easily the Saints beat the Panthers, and the Panthers are going to end up being the worst team in the league.
Yeah, I think this is actually I'm going to say major overreaction to the Saints beating the Panthers, because I honestly think the Panthers could be one of the worst NFL teams we have seen in a long time. I think it's time for the Saints to come back down to earth in week 2. Derek Carr only felt pressure on 12% of his dropbacks in week 1, whereas the Cowboys had 6 sacks and 24 pressures against the Browns. So Carr is in for a rude awakening here, and I think the Cowboys will take advantage of that and beat them pretty soundly. I'll take them to win in a cover.
Then, for back-to-back weeks, we're getting a team getting this sound. A game I hope to not see a second of. It's the New York Giants against the Washington Commanders, and the Giants are 1.5-point underdogs. I will let you dedicate more time to this particular game. However, I'll be quick. This line stuns me. I think the Giants should be favorites. I know they were terrible in week 1, but the Commanders are awful everywhere. Like, it's difficult to find a redeeming feature of this Commanders team. And yes, the Giants were bad, but they can't be as bad as they were in week 1, and they do have good elements within their team. I think the Giants will win this, and I think they'll win this easily.
Wow. Oh, my God. When will the Giants ever win anything easily? That's.
I would take the Giants -12 in this game.
Can I take that bet with you?
If you want.
Even money?
Yeah. Even money, -12. We'll do a burger and a beer. The old bet will come back.
Perfect. Oh, man, that is some easy money. I don't think the Giants can score enough to beat a team by 12.
It's going to be 14-2.
So is that a push then?
Yes, that'll be a push. It will just be 8 safeties just for each.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with you. I think the Giants on paper are a better team, but they did not look anything coherent of a team. I will I will still have some faith that as the season progresses, Daniel Jones will get better post injury, shake off the cobwebs. He didn't really run at all in week one, so maybe we'll see a little more of that, which I actually think he is pretty good at running and scrambling, making something out of nothing when his O line collapses. So, yeah, okay. I'll stick with the Giants, not by 12, but I think the Giants can win this.
And then up next, we've got the Jets at the Titans, and the Jets are 3.5-point favorites.
I want to bring this up because I did listen to the Bill Simmons podcast, and he had Sean Fennessy on, who is a big Jets supporter. And Bill Simmons, the week before, had, I forget who it was on his podcast, who talked him in to the Jets potentially being like the best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
And Bill Simmons was like, oh my God, I think you're right. Oh my God, you're right. Like, oh. And already this week, he's pulling are the Jets really not as good as we thought they were? Like, I'm not sure they're a great team. Like, the way upon which he can flip-flop from one week to the other is very impressive. And then 4 weeks from now, if the Jets do poorly, he's going to be like, I saw it week one that they weren't as good as we thought. But then if they actually go and win their next four, he's going to be like, I knew they had a stacked roster. I said it before the season. It's such a great move. I love it.
Yeah, he's a king of covering his bases, that's for sure. Yeah. And I'll agree with you on this. The thing that infuriates me listening to Simmons sometimes, and look, people will listen to this, and I know I've had plenty of seasons with the Chiefs, who've then gone on to win the Super Bowl back to back, and a handful of other teams where I've been adamant they're not good, or teams adamant that teams are good. And to a certain extent, I admire someone for like sticking to their guns and, hey, this is my read on this team, and I'm not going to waver. But you do have to have some ability to respond to like what you see. I hate that every season he goes into it, and this is as long. I have been listening to the Bill Simmons podcast since it was the BS Report on ESPN. I've got like whatever it is, 15 years under my belt at this point of listening to Simmons. He is always down on the Bills, and he's always down on the 49ers. And I'm not saying this because I don't care.
He is always down on the Bills. It's very true.
And like, it doesn't, even if, no matter how good their win can be and no matter how good it is, there's always like, yes, but this is about to go wrong. Or I know they beat them really well, but here's the asterisks on that particular win. And he does it for both of them. That's like the AFC team and the NFC team, where he has is this about to be the Niners season from hell? Oh, look, McCaffrey didn't play week one. Yeah, okay, but maybe it didn't matter that much. They rushed for, 200 yards or whatever it is. Yeah, but still, like, I find that painful to listen to. And it's not because I get upset as a 49ers fan, because I really don't care on that front. But it's just, like, I know going into every season, he's going to be low on the 49ers. He's going to be low on the Bills. And there's no logic behind it. I just wish he'd come out and say, you know what, I kind of don't like the Bills. Like, that's okay. That's fine. That's as good of a reason as any.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is funny. And I love he tries to pull now let's not overreact. It's only week one. Like, we're not one of those people. We don't overreact. And then they got to the Patriots in this last podcast, and he was like, man, the Patriots defense looked great. Like, they actually have one of the better pass rushes in the NFL. Like, their running game looked really coherent. It's like, you don't overreact until it's your team, and now you think suddenly that they're so great after one game when everything leading up to that game would tell you that they're actually a pretty shitty team, but you see one good performance. But we don't overreact on this podcast. It's so good sometimes. Never. I love it. I love the way that he operates. It makes me happy sometimes. It also makes me happy because I listen to it and I think how much it angers you when I hear him say something, and it makes me happy.
Yeah. And there's just certain guests I struggle with him. For example, I really struggle. He had Lombardi on
I don't know who that is.
Latest episode.
Vince Lombardi?
Mike Lombardi, the guy he had on like today, I suppose, to react to last night's game and stuff. I swear Mike Lombardi only got a career because people thought he was related to Vince Lombardi. I genuinely believe this about Mike Lombardi, because he doesn't provide any real insights. The only thing he does do is name drop, because he's worked at obviously he's he's worked alongside a lot of great coaches, and then he just name drops that coach into every conversation. So like, well, that's the Bill Belichick approach, like speaking about a game. Like that's his analysis, where the analysis itself is not particularly good, but because he throws in like the significant name alongside the analysis, you have to assume it means something. Anyway, that's enough Bill
All right,
Simmons discussion.
Tennessee Jets.
Yeah. And
I'm gonna take. So
remind
what's
people,
Fred?
Jets 3.5-point favorites.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna. It is in Tennessee, but I'm gonna take the Jets to win to cover here. I. Some people thought Aaron Rodgers looked great. I did not think he looked particularly good. He's always going to be able to throw the ball well. Like he has an elite arm, so he's going to be able to hit tight windows and things like that. But he barely moved in the pocket. I mean, I remember when Rodgers was in his prime, he had like that Mahomes elusiveness to him where he would like do like 3 steps to the right, evade a pass rusher, and then like hit a nice like 40-yard pass. I did not see any of that. And in fact, he kind of looked uncomfortable in the pocket at times. So I am not fully sold that we're going to see the same Aaron Rodgers of MVP caliber, but he is much better than Will Levis. And I think overall the Jets are more stacked than the Titans. So I'll take the Jets to bounce back here.
Yeah. Look, I think the Jets were not very good on Monday night, but I do think the 49ers are really good. I also think that 49ers team is a really bad matchup for the Jets. So, I'm not going to be too down on the Jets on the basis of what we saw from them on Monday, because I think the Niners are going to do that to a lot of teams over the course of the season. On top of it, I feel like this is a slight overreaction to how the Titans looked in that first half of the game against the Bears, because the second half they were arguably as bad as the Panthers were. So they just had one semi-decent half, and that was against a quarterback who literally couldn't move the ball downfield. So I think this is a little bit of a gimme of a line, and I'll take the Jets to win and the Jets to cover.
I'm going to give you my prediction here. I think the Jets put up a very nice performance here, and then we see an overreaction to that the Jets are now like legitimate playoff contenders based off of a shitty bounce back win against the Titans.
I'll say, and this I'll do for a real bet. I was a little bit exaggerating with the -12. We have our beer and burger bet on that, but I will legitimately do Jets -6.5. I will increase that line, and Giants -6.5 as a double.
Wow. New York double?
The New York double. That's what we're bringing to the table this Sunday.
I'm going to tell you what that is right now, because I gotta see. And you're saying -6.5 is what you want?
Both of them -6.5. Yeah.
So Giants -6.5 and Jets -6.5 parlay together is +643. So 6-1.
Perfect.
All right.
I will be putting that particular bet on.
It's already on for me.
All right. From there, speaking of Bill Simmons, we can move things on to the Patriots, who are at home for the Seahawks, and the Seahawks are 3-point favorites. Speaking of overreactions, this feels like one. This feels like a little bit of an overreaction to the Patriots' performance against the Bengals, and a little bit of an overreaction to the Seahawks kind of stuttering a little bit against the Broncos, even though I think we saw enough from the Seahawks. Like, they are who we know they are, to slightly alter that saying.
Nice.
They do a good job of beating bad teams, and I'm going to take them every time -3 against a bad team, and I think the Patriots are one. So I'll take the Seahawks to win and the Seahawks to cover.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is an overreaction spread. I think it should be closer to 5, 4 or 5 here. We just talked about how people said the Patriots pass rush was good. They held Burrow, blah, blah, blah. They only actually pressured Burrow on 6 out of 35 dropbacks. So really not much pressure. It was kind of deceiving that what Burrow was doing back there. So I think the Seahawks are too good for that. If you only pressure them 6 times, they'll dominate you. So yeah, I'm with you. Seahawks.
Up next is the Niners at the Vikings, and the Niners are 5-point favorites. I think here, look, the Vikings looked all right week one, but I think the Niners are very good. And this is not a particularly good Vikings team. I know I've been very high in my praise of Sam Darnold at times over the last 12 months or so, but if there's one team that's ready to burst the Sam Darnold bubble, it's not only a team with a good defense, but it's a team that got to watch Sam Darnold play day in, day out last season. So I will take the Niners to win and the Niners to cover here.
Yeah, pretty much everything you just said there. I completely agree. Little note: Darnold was 5 for 5 for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns when the Giants blitzed him. So the Niners will definitely have seen that and will definitely know how to counter that and get pressure without having to blitz, especially with Bosa. So and should be noted, Christian McCaffrey is out for this game. It's been broadcast, but I don't think it's going to matter. Jordan Mason looked great. I think you could literally put any back behind there. I could run for 120 against the Niners line. So,
yeah, obviously, I think they had to be early on the news with Christian McCaffrey this week, right after the slight, tricky, like muddy waters they got in themselves into last week when Jordan Mason implied that he was told on Friday that he was going to be starting, even though the Niners didn't release the news that Christian McCaffrey wouldn't be playing until Monday. But yeah, I don't think it will make too much of a difference in this particular matchup. But obviously, as a 49ers fan, you hope to see Christian McCaffrey out there and fully healthy as soon as possible, because if they are going to be a Super Bowl contender, as much as you can plug and play running backs in the NFL nowadays, I still think he's too much of a difference maker to not be out there. Rounding off the early set of games in just what is, I'm going to say, an unwatchable quantity of games, just because I hate when they do this. It makes red zone impossible because it's just switching too frequently between games. It makes picking which games you need to watch tough because you either have to, like, if you're a fantasy fan, you have too many players involved. If you're betting, you probably have too many games thrown into parlays or accumulators. It's just, and there's too many good teams in this early slate of games to just completely ignore a lot of them. I hate it. I hate it, and I hate that afterwards. I hate that afterwards we then just have 3 games afterwards, and
I know.
only one of those is even remotely compelling. So you just you're going to go from football overload to being like, do I even really want to watch the games now? Like, and that's a terrible sequence to go through. Anyway, finishing things off, a pretty decent game. Why couldn't it have been played 3 hours later? The Buccaneers at the Lions, and the Lions are 7.5-point favorites.
Yeah, this is a rematch of the playoff game where the Bucs actually kept this very close. So this spread is a little higher than how they played in the playoffs. But for me, I think the Lions have gotten better, and the Bucs have kind of stayed the same, if not gotten worse. I don't see much improvement from their teeth. I think they're still a decent team, but I think the Lions are continuing to get better from last year. So I'm going to take the Lions here. Aiden Hutchinson led the NFL in week 1 in pressures, had 11 pressures. So he's going to be all over Baker Mayfield this week. And either Baker's going to be eluding him all day and making big plays, or he's going to be sacked a lot. So I'm going to go with the latter to be the result, and I'm going to take the Lions to cover.
Yeah, I'll keep it simple. I just think the Lions are significantly better. And yeah, they're going to be better on both sides of the ball. So yeah, Lions to win, Lions to cover. Starting off the late set of games, what could be better? The only kickoff just after the early set, because 2 of these games are kicking off at 25 past, which means realistically they're kicking off like 35, 40 past. So we're probably going to have this like 10. We're going to watch even if you're on red zone, you're going to watch the full quarter of the Rams at the Cardinals, because there's going to be nothing else going on unless one of these other games goes to overtime, which I suppose there's so many of them that there's a decent chance.
Did you find out, though, why, Eddie, there are 4:05 and 4:25? I asked you to look this up last week. I'll give you to week 3, but by next week, I want a definitive answer as to why they can't all just be 425. If you have to bring in the CEO of Fox, that's what it takes, then that's what it takes.
So it says that late game scheduled to air show only one game starts at 4:05, while the rest start at 4:25 to reduce conflicts with the 1 o'clock games.
But
Basically,
why can't they all just start at 425? So there's no conflicts.
because I guess they want no dead air, right? So they want to make sure you have some football to go to, but they don't want there to be too much overlap if there are games going down to the sort of deciding moments in the fourth quarter or overtime. So they want to
I
make
don't buy this.
sure there's some NFL there for you to watch, but not too much. But you know what? I'm fine with that logic. That actually makes sense. But then why the fuck did you go and stick so many games at 1 o'clock? Like if that's the thing, if you're really worried about distraction and overloading people and clashes, why are you then sticking so many games in the early slot and not getting close to a 50-50 split in the late games? I don't understand it. You'll never be able to, anyone will ever be able to explain it to me. But anyway, but good news, you'll probably get to watch, no matter what, the whole first quarter of the Rams at the Cardinals. The Cardinals are 1-point favorites against an injury ravaged Rams team. I mean, their line is horribly affected. You've got players missing at the wide receiver position. It really feels this is a Rams team running on fumes off the back of a disappointing, I'll say heartbreaking, but it's difficult to use the term heartbreaking for a week 1 loss, but still having fought their way back into that game against the Lions to just be steamrolled in overtime. And I think this is a little bit of an overreaction to what we saw from the Cardinals out of the Bills. Then again, from what we saw from the Bills last night, how good does that Cardinals performance look, last in week 1 compared to what we saw out of the Dolphins? I just think it's a nice time to be playing the Rams. So I'll take the Cardinals to win and obviously cover the 1 point.
Wow. I'm going to take the Rams. I think the Cardinals kind of just got off to a little bit of a hot start there against the Bills, but then once things settled down, the Bills took care of them pretty easily. I know the Rams are down Puka Nacua and a few linemen, but I just think, Cooper Kupp looked great, and I think they'll keep going with that. I definitely think he'll have over 100 yards receiving this game. Sean McVay, 14-2 against the Cardinals and undefeated against the spread in Glendale, Arizona. So I think I'll take the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, part of me hopes that the Cardinals lose because I am in the process of buying Cardinals tickets for when we're, swinging by Arizona, and obviously them being 0-2 would probably mean that it's a little bit easier and a little bit cheaper to get single game tickets. Speaking of which, a little shout out to someone on Reddit, Comparison Fun 3509. I know you're trying to scam me. I know that the tickets. I know you don't really have the tickets you claim to be willing to sell me, because for context, I went on a subreddit about Arizona Cardinals just to be like, what's the best way to buy single game tickets? I know you can go through StubHub, Game Time, a couple of the other apps, but with the fees they add on, quickly good tickets become very expensive very fast. And it feels like you could get something directly from someone. I was just hoping someone would say, you know what, I have season tickets and I probably won't be going to that game. Buy them from me, which I got a few offers along those lines. But Comparison Fun 3509 on Reddit, he offered me 4 tickets in the 100 section.
Okay.
The going rate for his tickets, it's about $250 a ticket. That's like what you see on StubHub. A lot of available. That's where he started. I said, is there any flexibility on price? Because I thought he was scamming me because his phone number, it's from Illinois. Slightly suspicious when you're selling home tickets to a Cardinals game. He was willing to go down to $50 a ticket with me. And I'm going to say he's taking a loss on that particular one, and I don't believe him for a second.
Well, maybe he's just seeing the writing on the wall that they're going to be 0-3 or whatever it is.
Maybe I'm calling out the nicest guy in the world who was like, "Hey, these guys are traveling.
You're coming all the way from
Yeah.
Paris? Let me give you a nice welcome to America.
Yeah. Oh, no worries. I'll give you $50 a ticket. That's fine. Just go to the game, enjoy yourselves, support the Cardinals. It's better than my tickets being empty. Maybe he's just a good guy, but I'm going to say there's a very strong chance he'll do them one by one. I think I would send him $50 and I would never hear from him again. But maybe we'll end up finding out. Up next, the Bengals at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 6-point favorites. And I'm going to say, to quote Yogi Berra, this feels like deja vu all over again. I feel like I've been in this position with the Bengals, this position with the Chiefs, probably 10 times over the last couple of seasons. And I know any way I call it, I'm going to be wrong. There's a part of me that wants to say I was super impressed by the Chiefs on opening night, and now they're at home to a Bengals team that looked terrible week one, that seems to be struggling to get their act together as the season gets underway, and that 6 points is a little bit of a gimme, and this Chiefs team is definitely going to win this game. Maybe they don't cover the spread, but I should absolutely be throwing them into every bet. And then I know I do it, and then all of a sudden Joe Burrow looks like Joe Burrow again, and the Chiefs defense looks terrible, and the Chiefs defense that was gassed with a quarter to play will be gassed with 3 quarters to play. And Travis Kelce wasn't involved week one, and he won't be involved in this one. And by that I mean as in like a non-factor, not a non-playing. And I'm going to take the Chiefs to win and to cover, and I hate it. I hate it.
I love it. Yeah, I'll take the Chiefs to win and to cover here, especially the Bengals cornerbacks are already blowing smoke at Xavier Worthy. So I don't know why you add fuel to the fire to the 2-time defending world champions. Like, why are you giving
he's
them
skinny? He's only 100.
material?
He's only 140 pounds. He may be fast, but you stand in front of him and you stop him.
Yeah, why do you give them anything to like motivate them? It makes no sense.
It reminds me
now because it's not even just him. Mahomes will now be like, oh yeah, you think he sucks? Let me just tee you up for this 70-yard touchdown pass. Like he even has that extra motivation now to like fine. Embarrass you.
I don't know the bulletin board material. I do get what you're saying. I'd risk it with Xavier Worthy. I'd risk either. Because like he is small, I would risk like, hey, if the Chiefs want to try and prove a point on this one, let's bring Xavier Worthy at us. Because maybe if you're the Bengals, you're like, we really don't want them getting too much. Travis Kelce is the thing we can't handle, so let's just call Xavier Worthy out. Let's see what happens.
Well, I'm telling you now, I'm going Xavier Worthy over 100 yards here in this game, total yards, rushing and running combined. I'll go Chiefs to win, Chiefs to cover. Burrow is 3-1 against the Chiefs. Keep that in mind. He does love to dominate against the Chiefs. He's 11-3 against the spread as an underdog of 3 or more points. So as he gets more of an underdog, he plays better. But this is a good random bullshit stat, Eddie. The Bengals are 0-4 the last 2 week twos.
And then to round off that huge 3 set of games in the afternoon, Steelers at the Broncos. Steelers 2.5-point favorites. And I'm just going to say this is a Frank special.
Wah, 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 wah. I'm making my own noise.
But I do kind of agree with you, but I can't apply that to a game that when there's only 2 other games going on, because there's just no way.
But what excites you about this game? What are you tuning in to watch? Honestly, I'm literally maybe just tuning in to watch JJ Watt. It's the only exciting thing about this game.
Yeah, there's a little JJ Watt. I don't know. Justin Fields, I'm a little intrigued to see if he can.
I'm tired of watching Justin Fields. I've struggled through that for multiple years now.
Let's be real. These 3 afternoon games, only one of them is really watchable. Like the other 2, if you stuck the other 2.
I think Rams Cards is a good game.
With the Rams missing half their team.
Yeah, it makes it exciting, makes it close.
This just shows your Steeler hatred, because the Steelers against the Broncos is a better game than the Rams at the Cardinals.
No way.
It is. It really is.
But Cardinals have Kyler Murray, James Conner, Marvin Harrison Jr. Exciting. I'd watch that.
Marvin Harrison Jr. had like 6 yards week 1. This is what we're going to be
Yeah,
excited about.
he's due, Eddie. He's due.
All right.
You know who's not due? Bo Nix.
Well, I still think this is more watchable than they. But I do agree. Neither of them are particularly watchable. It's just the issue with it is that like why couldn't I flip this with like Niners, Vikings, Lions, Bucks? One of those games. Colts, Packers. Just stick one of those games in the afternoon set. So I feel like I've got a couple reasons. Like realistically, you look at the set of 6 teams playing in the afternoon. How many of them are going to be in the playoffs? Okay, the Chiefs for sure.
2. Rams.
You don't think? Oh, so you don't think the Bengals are making the playoffs?
No, Bengals might not win a game.
And you don't think the Steelers are making the playoffs?
No, Eddie, come on. Eddie, come on.
I think the Steelers might be making the playoffs now.
No, they're not.
Well, I think that I'll keep.
You know why they're not, Eddie? Because I'm taking the Broncos here to win and with the points.
I'd like to know if you've ever. I'd love to know if you've ever taken the Steelers. This is like, I'm taking the Steelers to win. The Steelers.
No, I'm actually taking the Steelers to win and to cover here.
So the Steelers to be 2-0 and on their course to the playoffs.
Ooh, does it matter? They'll lose in the playoffs anyway.
Oh yeah,
they never win in the playoffs.
Well, all but one team does. Sunday Night Football. This is a pretty watchable game, but still not amazing. Bears at Texans. You've obviously got the star quarterback, rookie quarterback from last year, and the quarterback who's expected to be the star rookie of this year, even if he had a pretty unimpressive week 1 performance. The Texans are 6.5-point favorites. Look, I think the Texans look pretty good against the Colts, and I think the Colts are decent. I know going into week 1, I had a slightly higher estimation of the Colts. So I actually think that win maybe looks a bit better than perhaps you do, although I don't want to speak on your behalf. The Bears, it's tough because like they were so terrible for much of that game against the Titans, but snuck out the win. I just think the Texans are going to have too much for them, and I'll take the Texans to win and the Texans to cover.
Yeah, this is a spread. This is another spread. It's one of those ones where it's like, do they know something we don't? Because I don't know why it's only. How is this not, honestly, 9 to 10 points? The Bears literally did nothing the entire first half. And then in the second half, their offense still did nothing, but won a game from Will Levis handing them the game and a special teams debacle. Like, this is not a good team. And I think they could be a good team. They need to develop a little more. I mean, Caleb Williams had one of the worst week 1 performances by a rookie QB in the last 25 years. It ranked like the top 5. And I like Caleb Williams. Like, I think he's going to be a good QB, but they're not there yet. And this is the Texans team that is just cooking on all cylinders here. So I'll take the Texans. I'll add to the Giants, Jets, the New York double. I'll do a New York double with a side of smoked Texas brisket here. And I'll do Texans -13.
Okay. It didn't quite fit the New York double was such good bit of branding, and you've had to go and spoil it, Yeah. So to round things off, we got Monday night.
Yeah.
And we got the Falcons and the Eagles, and the Eagles are 6.5-point favorites. That week 1 performance from the Eagles, they did look good against the Packers. It's tough because of the fact that it was played on a neutral venue, a lot of travel involved, terrible field. How much did that influence or the outcome of the game? But I really don't think the Falcons are particularly good. So I'll take the Eagles to win and to cover.
I'm not sure either of these teams is that great. I still don't know what to make of the Eagles, and I think they're going to come out of this now 2-0, and people are going to think they're really great. And I think it's going to be just like last year when I was a little hesitant on how good they actually were when they started off super hot. I'll take the Eagles to win. Can the Falcons keep it within a touchdown? Yes. Cousins bounce back. Kirky ice.
There we go. And I guess that wraps things up, obviously, for week 2 with our little – kind of got a bet of the week with a New York double. Maybe we'll
I
have to
love the
start.
New York Devil. It's
We'll have to
already in. It's already booked, signed, and delivered.
We'll have to start coming up with some branding for future bets of the week. See if we can get a sponsor maybe then attached to it. But
well, maybe next week we can do the New York Double for them both to lose by more than 6.5.
well,
Then that's the New York Double.
the bad news I have for you on that one is the New York Double next week it could potentially be on in different ways because the Jets will be at home to the Patriots for Thursday Night Football. So currently 7-point favorites. So taking them to lose, that would be a huge swing. The Giants are at the Browns. So I don't know. We're going to have to struggle to find what the New York Double is there. But
you got the Bills. Don't forget the Bills.
And the Bills are playing. No.
It's probably not up because they played and the other teams haven't played yet.
No, it's just it's next week is one of those weird weeks where they got 2 Monday night games.
So
the
who are the Bills playing?
The Bills are at home to the Jags, 3.5-point favorites. So you could do this Thursday night, Monday night, New York Double, Jets and Bills.
New York bookends.
Yeah. Although not the bookend because the later Monday night game is Commanders and Bengals.
Damn it.
So there's but anyway, we'll figure it out. We'll get the team working on it.
We got it. So Eddie, I have one piece of non-sporting things I wanted to bring up to you. I thought you might enjoy. On Sunday when I was watching my 7 hours of commercial-free NFL football, I was kind of getting not bored, but like when you're watching so much TV that you're kind of like, I want to play with my phone a little bit. And I was like, what games? What?
Antsy.
Yeah, getting a little antsy. I was like, what games can I play? And in the back of my head, I had remembered when we were at Sunday roast, we mentioned Clash of Clans. So I opened it up and restarted Clash of Clans from ground zero.
Unfortunate timing for the usage of ground zero. Never forget.
Well,
but how's it going? Have you stuck to it?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually kind of nice because you don't have to really do much ever, so kind of here and there. It's usually at night when I'm watching TV or something like that. I'll kind of just mess around for like an hour or so while I'm watching TV and then forget about it and then kind of go back. But it just brings back a lot of funny memories of when we used to play a lot and we had our own little group, our own clan.
It's tough, because I always judge people like whenever I'm on the metro or traveling anywhere and you see someone whip out, and it's almost inevitably.
I would never do it in front of people.
It's almost inevitably a man, but.
No, I saw the woman next to me on my flight. I was real quick, exactly what you're going to say. The woman next to me on my flight, the last trip I took, she was playing like this super childish game. She was like a 60-year-old woman playing this super childish game for like 4 hours. I was like, I kind of wanted to be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, read a book or watch a movie or something. Like,
so this is what I struggle with because I have that same judgment, and yet when you are then sitting somewhere really bored, a good phone game, it's tough to beat. Like, it's true that when you have 15 minutes to kill, 4 hours is a long dedication, but 15 minutes, 20 minutes, like a quick commute, or you're waiting in a doctor's office or something's going on and you're just kind of sat there for a second, being able to whip out your phone. And because, for example, for me, I don't love always sticking my AirPods in, like, especially if I'm waiting for something or if I'm in a kind of group setting where I occasionally think, well, if I put my headphones in, it's sort of rude almost, like, because you are shutting yourself down. So if someone says something to you or calls out for you, you're not able to respond. So the phone's a good compromise because you got no sound, but it gives you a little bit of entertainment. But I just feel it feels very juvenile to like be playing
it is
crappy game on your phone. But unless you're playing chess, I think Sudoku gets like a pass. I think when people do Sudoku on their phone, that gets, or like a crossword. Wordle probably gets it, but Wordle's only going to entertain you for about a minute,
10 seconds.
But anything like
maybe
that,
it takes you a minute, but
where only because I sit just so pleased with myself that I'm about to get it first guess. But yeah, I think that's the only thing is like you do feel a little bit like I'm embarrassed to play it, but I do wish I had a really good phone game to play.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you know how my progress goes.
All right, and also eventually let the listeners know how your progress goes with the Rings of Power whenever we get around to.
Yes, we'll have to cover that next episode then.
Because I'm fully
on
up.
Monday.
I am fully up to date. I had yesterday on the day it came out. I watched episode 5. I guess that was, and yeah, enjoying it. It's good. Season 2 is better than season 1. I'll say that much.
Good. All right. Well, with that, we can wrap it up and call it a day.
Sounds good.
Talk to you later.
See ya.
Cheers.